Hi, good morning. Let's wait couple of minutes for others to join. Then we will start. All right, let's get started. Let me share my screen. All right. So good morning and thank you all for joining us today on the webinar on Microsoft Fabric and Power BI. So I will quickly start with the agenda. So second. All right. So first of all, I would be introducing myself. So my name is Gaurav, and I have around 4 years of experience working in data analytics domain, and I'm currently working as manager at Addend Analytics. And I have Anmol and Govind with me today, who will be covering a few topics on Microsoft Fabric and Power BI. And they both have 2 years of experience and working as data analyst at Addend. All right. So coming to the agenda, so I will start with the quick intro about Addend. Then I will cover overview of key roles and the project flow of data domain. And then Anmol will cover overview of Microsoft Fabric. And then Govind will cover overview of Microsoft Power BI. And then we'll be having Q&A session at the end. And if you have any questions, you can drop in Q&A section as well as in the chat, and we will pick up the questions from there and try to address all of those at the end of the session. All right, so let's get started with the introduction. So as you all know, we are Addend Analytics, a Microsoft partner company providing services to the global clients since 6 plus years now. Uh, we are a team of 30 plus young Microsoft certified professionals who are certified in various domains like Power BI, Azure Data Engineering, Fabric Analytics Engineering, and many more. Uh, Till now, we have delivered 100 plus projects and during these 6 years, and we have achieved 99% of customer satisfaction rate. Coming to the technologies offered at Addend, so being a Microsoft partner company, we generally works with technologies comes under Microsoft stake, which includes Power BI, SQL Server, Dynamics, Azure Cloud, and other members from the Power Platform family, which is Power Apps, Power Automate, and all. So that's the quick intro about Addend. Now I would like to go to the next topic, which is exploring key roles and the uh, life cycle of data project. So mainly there are four roles in the data domain, I would say, which includes business analyst, data engineer, and data scientist. So I will walk you through each of those, and we will be covering the key skills required for each role. So this will help you. So idea of adding this in today's session is many of you may have confusion like which role should I prefer and where should I go, right? So that's why we are covering this topic today. So let's start with the business analyst. So basically, business analyst focuses on the business needs and the strategy. Okay. So when I talk about so generally the projects start with the requirement gathering, right? So business analysts play a key role in gathering the requirement from the stakeholder and then translating that requirement to the in the technical terms to the development team. So that's the basic role of a business analyst. If I talk about the primary responsibilities, so they generally do requirement gathering, and they are also involved in the process improvement, and they generally communicate with the stakeholders. So these are the primary roles or responsibilities of a business analyst. And now coming to the skills. So skills wise, communication is must because you will be communicating with non-tech people, right? Then the problem solving because uh, the stakeholder will come with the problems and they tell you like we want to do this and we want to do that. In that case, you will have to understand the requirement, and based on that, we will have to suggest them, right? Then they must know the reporting tools as well, because at the end of a data project, the business analyst will deliver the reports and all the deliverables to the client. So reporting tool is also required. Next is the SQL. Yes, so SQL is is not a primary skill which is required for this role, I would say. But yeah, they must know basics of SQL at least so that they can query data from the database. Okay, now coming to the next role, which is data analyst. So primary focus of data analyst is analyzing data to generate the actionable insights. So primary responsibilities are data connection, data cleaning, analyzing, and then reporting. So basically, data analyst generally works with a tool like Power BI or Tableau, wherein they collect the data, clean it, and analyze the data, and then create the attractive visuals. And if I talk about the skills required for data analyst role, so SQL is must. Then we have Excel for validation and all. Then they must know a reporting tool, which can be Tableau or Power BI or any other business intelligence tool. Then they must know statistical techniques because they have to apply while analyzing the data. And then at the end, they also must know programming language, either from Python or R. So that's about the data analyst role. Now coming to the next role, which is data engineer. So the primary focus of data engineer is to make the data available to the data analyst and other team members, right? So they are generally responsible for the infrastructure, storage, and the pipeline building for the data. Now coming to the primary responsibilities. So yeah, they are involved in the data pipeline development, database management, data integration, and automation. When I say automation, that means they have to implement a mechanism to update the data automatically every time, right? Now coming to the key skills. So primary skills required for data engineer role is programming, which includes Python, Scala, maybe Java sometimes. Next will be the SQL because they are into database management as well. Then the data warehousing concepts must be clear to them. Then they must know a cloud platform because now we have plenty of data available and we cannot manage the infrastructure locally. So they must know a cloud platform very well. And they must know the ETL tools as well, maybe from any of the cloud service provider, which is AWS, Azure, or any other tool. Now coming to the next role, which is data scientist. So primary focus of data scientist is into the advanced analytics and predictive modeling. So once data analyst is done with the EDA of the data, then data analyst will take it to the next level. So they generally apply machine learning models and do the predictive modeling thing. Uh, Coming to the primary responsibilities. So yeah, data modeling is required, then data exploration, algorithm development, and big data analysis. Now coming to the key skills required for the data scientist role. So machine learning, deep learning, statistics, programming, which includes R or Python, and then the big data technology, which includes Hadoop and Spark. So these are the four main roles, and there are many more. But these are the, I would say, on the top hierarchy, and then we have the tool specific roles as well. So when I talk about data analyst, we can say there can be a role like Power BI developer, a Tableau developer, like that. So these are the four main roles. Now coming to the next topic, which is the project life, data project life cycle. So these are the main five steps, which includes identifying the problem, designing data requirement, primary pre-processing data, then performing analytics over data, then visualizing. So if I combine this steps with the roles, so I would say, let's say, for example, I am the owner of a retail chain, right? And now I want to analyze the sales data. So now I will go to a business analyst and explain my requirement and my problem, what I'm looking for. Then business analyst will understand my requirement and then convert it into the technical terms, right? So business analyst will discuss with the team and decide which infrastructure, what tool to be used, and how we can provide a efficient solution to the client. Once business analyst have the requirements, he discuss it with the data team. Then data engineer will start his work or her work, and brought in all the data to a centralized repository so that data analyst or data scientist can work on it. So once data analyst prepares the report, he will share that report to again to the business analyst so that he can deliver it to the end client. Similarly, once the data scientist is done with his predictive modeling and any other modeling, then again he will share the end results with the data analyst. Then data analyst will prepare the report and share it with the BA, which is business analyst. So this is how the whole project lifecycle works. I hope you found this useful, and you are able to now understand like how it works. So that's all from my side. Now I would like to hand over to Anmol to start with the introduction to Fabric. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav, for this helpful insight. We have one question related to this.
Yep.
Paras has asked that can you briefly explain about the data modeler role?
Okay. So data modeler, I would say, so data modeler is into the modeling part as the title suggests, right? So he must know all the data modeling schemas, right? That's the key skill which is required. Then I would say they again, as we are talking about data modeling, so database is also required, right? So database wise, he must be clear with all the concept of the databases, right? Which includes the constraints and I would say key key columns, primaries, primary key and all. So this must be clear to a data modeler. Other than this, I would say they must know a reporting tool as well, because they sometimes they might came across a need wherein they want to analyze the data. So a reporting tool would be helpful for them. So yeah, a tool like Power BI will also help them. So yeah,
Uh,
any other question related to the roles?
yeah, I guess that's all. And if anyone else has any questions, then you can feel free to drop the questions in the Q&A section or you can drop it in the chat box. So thank you, Gaurav, once
Right.
again. And now we
Yeah.
will move toward the Microsoft Fabric and Power BI part. So I will be beginning with one of the famous quote. It is, if you torture your data long enough, then it will confess to anything. This is a famous quote by a Nobel Prize winner, Ronald Coase. He is a global economist. So, as we understand from the quote itself, if you torture your data long enough, so data contains so many details. It's not just a row or column. It contains us find so many insights, so many trends, so many hidden patterns. So the whole data field is vast. It help big organization or small anyone, they all can extract any insights from the data they are generating, and then they can take business decisions. So with this thought, let's move toward our session. So I will be covering the introduction to Microsoft Fabric part, and then we will move ahead with Govind, who will cover the Power BI part. Okay, so let's start. So Microsoft is calling it as a analytics in the era of AI. So what we are going to discuss is Microsoft Fabric. This is recently launched in previous year Microsoft Ignite event, in which they has launched this new tool. They are calling it as a Microsoft Fabric. So if we just go to the definition of it, it says that it is an end-to-end analytics platform which will bring together all the data and analytics tool that organization needs to go from the data lake to the business user. Now, what it means. So you might have came across various tools while working on the data project. It can be Azure Portal, Azure's database, it can be Power BI, or there are so many plenty of tools available. But for to manage all these, there are so many challenges which we are going to discuss further. So to deal with them, to basically understand the concept of Fabric, they have bring all together into a single umbrella, and they are calling it as a Microsoft Fabric. So Microsoft Fabric is nothing new. It is just a combination of all the existing technology with some better experience. So you can see on the screen that it includes Data Factory, it includes Synapse Data Engineering, Synapse Data Warehouse, Synapse Data Science, Synapse Real-Time Analytics, Data Activator, and Power BI. So these are few major services which are being provided within the Microsoft Fabric, and these all are covered with the Copilot in Fabric. So basically, the Copilot will be assisting us as a AI tool, and all of you must be familiar with ChatGPT. So Copilot is similar to it, but this is developed by Microsoft. So using this, you can communicate with using Copilot with natural language. You can enter your prompts and let the insights come out from the data. So what happens, let's say you have some data available in the data set available. So you can simply enter a prompt like provide me sales of any particular region. You can mention the name. So it will perform it calculation in the backend, and then it will provide you the answer. And more of it, it can also create reports for you. It can also create codes for you. So if you are thinking from a developer purpose, then it can help you to write codes, to create reports, to create DAX measures, which are the part of Power BI. So in this way, it will help the developer. And if you are an end user, then it will help you to directly create reports or directly get the insight from the data. So in this way, AI is with us in the with the part of Microsoft Fabric. And then there is one more thing, which is the major part of Microsoft Fabric, which is called as One Lake. So they are calling it as a unified data foundation, or we can call it as a OneDrive for the Microsoft Fabric. So everything we are going to do, every the data which we are going to use in Fabric, all of it is get to stored in the one lake, so that multiple copies of data will be ignored. So now to understand, as Gaurav has already explained the process of a project. So what happens in a project is generally the data reside on the client side. Let's say they have stored their data at some place. Now, in the beginning, what we do is we import that data into our data warehouse. The data engineering team work on it. Then they create several layers of it. It can be bronze layer, silver layer, gold layer. So firstly, they directly dump the data, then they perform some kind of transformation, and then they will provide the data analyst the data they need for their report. Once the data analysts get the data, then they will import that data into Power BI. If you know, the Power BI has two modes. One have import mode and one is direct query mode. So if we are going to use import mode, then one another copy of data will get created. So till now, one copy of data is on the client side, the second copy of data is on the data engineering side, and the third copy will get created on the data analyst side. And for assumption, you can consider that data scientist team is also working on it. So one copy of data will get created for them too. So in this way, multiple copy of data get created. So to deal with this, they have introduced one lake in which the data is will be stored at a single place, and all the peoples from like all the roles and for all the tools, we can access the data from a single location. So this is the concept behind introducing one lake. And with this, they have provided us as a software as a service solution product experience. So it is not just the combination of all the tools. What they provide us is we can access it from anywhere at any place. We just have to navigate to Microsoft Fabric website, and there we can access all of these services at a single place with a easy to use interface. After it, they have provided security and governance. So the data we are going to store is secure, and we can provide various type of data access. Like we can create various type of roles that which person can see the what amount of data. So in this way, our data is secured. After it, we have compute and storage. So the storage will be at a single place, and for all the services, we can use a single compute, and it is also helpful for the business models. So this is the basic introduction of Microsoft Fabric. Now, when we say that there are so many tools available, so just to give you a view of the tools, like this is just the 10%, we can say 5% of 10 or 10% of all the tools available in the industry. But majorly there are data factories, you can see Databricks, data warehouses, then there are Python, Spark, there are various type of databases available, and then there are various type of visualization tool or reporting tool available. Now, to collect or integrate or to perform the analysis of data, we need each one of them. And so you can see the first thing, there are so many product available, and their interface are all different. So a single person cannot handle it. Like they have to learn, they have to be expert in that part. And for each one of them, there are different licenses available. All the tools have different configuration, and we should have a dedicated person to use that tools. So initially data engineer, there are separate roles like data engineers, data analyst, as business analyst, data scientist. But what we are in future, what is going to happen, there will be a single role which will be introduced as a Fabric analytics engineer. So he will be aware of how we can import the data, how we can perform the transformation on the data, how we can store the data, and how we can perform analysis. So the end-to-end project can be done with the help of a single developer, and at a single place. Like within the Microsoft Fabric, we can perform all kind of uh, upper project things. So these are the few things. Earlier we have different business models. So now we get everything into Microsoft Fabric. Then deep expertise needed for each one of these things, high integration effort, and multiple copies of truth. So as we discussed, multiple copies of data is getting created earlier, but now we will have a single copy of data. And the major thing is cost, which is too many factors to manage. Now let's say you are going to organize an event. So you have to, for an example, let's suppose you are organizing an event, and you have to purchase various things. You have to look for a location, then you have to look for a food catering services, then you have to look for a decoration services. So to manage all these, it will be difficult for you. But let's say if you hire a event manager, and or you are associated with the event company, so now you just have to pay them and they will manage everything. So in a similar way, in Microsoft Fabric, you don't have to purchase everything separately. You just have to go to Microsoft and purchase the license of Microsoft Fabric, and after it, everything you will get access to everything. And the licensing will be depending on whatever you use. So there are two types of licenses available. So you can either purchase a yearly license, or you can go for a pay as you go option. So pay as you go, the whatever services you use or whatever compute you will use, you have to pay only for it. So in this way, you can manage Microsoft Fabric. Now moving ahead, to get the better understanding of Microsoft Fabric, we have already discussed these services. These are all available on a single platform. You can enable the trial of Microsoft Fabric. So for that, you will either need a school account or a work account. You have to log into Fabric, and there you will get an option to enable the Fabric trial, which will be enabled for the 60 days. And using it, you can explore all the items and all the services of Microsoft Fabric. And if after it, you can move ahead to purchase the Fabric licenses. Then we have the navigation model. So navigation and UX model. So the interface is very simple. You just have to create a new workspace, and you have to go to the new items, and there you will see all the items available at a single place. Then workspace organization and collaboration experience. So for that, you once you have created the workspace, you can add the other developers, or you can say other members of your team, and collaborate with them at a single place. After it, we have data lake and storage format. So Microsoft, as we discussed, Fabric is going to store it data into one lake. So within one lake, we have two things, lakehouse and warehouse available. So these are the two different things, but part of one lake. So we will further discuss what is the difference between lakehouse and warehouse. But yeah, these are the part of the data lake, and the storage format will be either a data delta lake format or the Parquet format. So they have considered it as a default format because the Delta and Parquet format provide us the better experience and faster performance. Then data copy for all the engines. So we have one copy, and using it, we can use that copy in any of these services. Then security model, CI/CD, monitoring hub, data hub, and governance and compliance. These are few other things. So as we discussed about the Copilot, so the Fabric is going to be AI assisted. We have the shared workspace for the collaboration. Then we have the universal compute capacities, one security, so that your data will be secured at a single place. For it, you can further provide the various access roles to the users that what amount of data they can see. And the lastly, which is the major foundation, which is the one lake. So these are the major things of Fabric. And when we talk about the one lake, so as we have already discussed about it, it is the OneDrive for the data. So you can understand it by this diagram that any of these services, or we can say tool, is going to use the data from the one lake. So now think of it that any data engineer has performed any kind of transformation. So the transformation will get replicated into the one lake. And if a Power BI report has already been generated to it, then the changes will automatically get reflected within that report. So these are the basic few things. Now I will show you the interface of the Microsoft Fabric and how you can enable the trial and what are the services we are getting within it. So let's directly move toward it. So you have to simply log into the Power BI services, or you can go to Microsoft Fabric website. So yes, this is the homepage of Microsoft Fabric. All your data in one location. You can organize, you can collaborate, and you can create. So the services within it, there is Power BI. There are various type of databases available. Data factory, within this we get data pipeline and data flows. They have also introduced the industry solutions. So what is in it? You already have pre-created like notebooks and pre-created reports. You just have to ingest your data, and it will going to perform all kind of analysis, transformation, and it will generate insights for you. So within this we have health and retail, and there are few others too. Other than that, we have the real-time intelligence, data engineering. Within this, we have Lakehouse, notebooks, data science. In this, you can create your models, machine learning models. You can perform various type of analysis. And then we have data warehouse. So Microsoft has also provided the detailed documentation to explore each one of them. So you can simply go to Google and search for the Microsoft Fabric documentation. And in it, you will get the detailed explanation for each one of them. Now, to enable the Fabric trial, you just have to click on your profile icon, and this will open. Here you will get an option to enable a free trial. As you can see, I have already enabled. So it is enabled for 60 days, and now 43 days has left. Once you enable this trial, you have to go to Power BI to create a new workspace. And I have already created a workspace for the demo purpose. So to create a new workspace, you just have to go to this workspace setting and click on this new workspace. And once you create it, so this is the interface we will be getting for a workspace. And you have to click on this new item button. Once you click on this, you will get all the items included within the Microsoft Fabric at this single page. So you can see we have the options for visualizing data. We have the options to get the data from the source. We have options to store data and then prepare the data, analyze and train the data, track the data. And there are few others options to develop data. So these are the few options. I will be covering the major one. So in to talk about the visualizing the data, Further, we are going to discuss about Power BI. So in Power BI, we can create reports, and using those reports, we can also create dashboards. And then we have the real-time dashboards option available too. So these are few major things in the visualization data option. After it, we have the get data option. In the get data option, you will find the data pipeline. So this you can use to import your data from the source and directly dump it as it is into your destination. It can be either a lakehouse or it can either be the warehouse. After it, we get the data flow generation 2. So this interface of data flow generation 2 is similar to the Power Query editor. What you get in the Power BI desktop, we will see that further. So the interface will be exactly same. You can perform all kind of transformation which you perform in Power BI. And after your transformation is done, you can then dump that data into Lakehouse or warehouse. Then there are few options which are currently in preview, but they are mirror Azure Cosmos DB, mirror SQL database. So let's say your database is already available in any SQL database. So you can directly enter your credential and it will be reflected in your OneLake, or we can say Microsoft Fabric. After it, you have the option for notebook. So the notebook will be covering 4 languages. It will be Spark, then Spark SQL, Spark Scala, and Spark R. So in these 4 languages, you can write your code, and if you want to import your data using any libraries, then you can do it. Or if you want to perform the transformation, then you can definitely perform the transformation using it. After it, it comes the store data. So the major thing comes here, the lakehouse and warehouse. Now, both of these are going to store the data. Both are going to store the data into one lake. But what is the difference between it? The lakehouse will be storing the unstructured data as well as structured data. So in Lakehouse, we get both these options, but in Warehouse, we can only store the structured data. We don't have the facility to store the unstructured data. So this is the major difference. That's why they have separately created the Lakehouse and Warehouse. So, but both these features provide us the facility to import the data further into any place. Either it will be Power BI or Notebook. So these are two major things. Then we have the options to perform prepare data. So Azure Data Factory, this is recently introduced. Then we have data pipelines, again data flow to transform your data, notebooks. So these are few options. After it, we have analyze and train data. So if you are going to perform any kind of machine learning model, you want to train it. So you can use this ML model thing. We have notebook, experiments, environment. You can create predefined environment to use in the notebooks, and then track data. So we have the option for data activator in the Microsoft Fabric. Using it, you can monitor your data set using the queries event stream. So let's say if you have set any threshold on your data that sales, you want to set triggers. So you can use the activator for it. After it, we have the option for develop data. So you can enable the Microsoft Fabric trial and then further analyze all these items by creating it. The creating any of this is very simple. You just have to click on any of the button and you have to enter a name and just click on this creating button. And this will create the new item within your workspace. Yeah, so you can see that the as we have clicked on the data pipeline, so this got created and we just have to perform our thing and everything will be stored within this workspace only. And if you want to provide anyone else access to this, then you can go to this manage access option and add the people or directly group from here. So this is the basic introduction of the fabric part. And now I will provide you the basic overview of what is Power BI, and then Govind will move ahead with showing you the demo of how you can use the Power BI, how you can interact with it, how you can perform the data transformation and data modeling, and how you can create a report. So starting with what is Power BI? Till now, if you have any question, then you can drop in the question and answer box, or you can drop in chat, and I will be happy to answer. So moving ahead, what is Power BI?
Anmol,
So yes, Gaurav.
so sorry to interrupt. There is one
Yeah,
question wherein Deepak is asking about business model is a part of one lake. So I'm not clear on what exactly he is asking. Can you have a look?
yeah. Just give me a minute. Okay, so business model is not the part of One Lake, but it is a part of Microsoft Fabric. So what we can understand from it is that there are various organizations who are using the Microsoft Fabric interface, or we can say, or who are currently working on the Power BI side or data analytics field. So they can move toward the Microsoft Fabric, and then they can convert their existing model, whatever they are using, and they can convert it into the Fabric domain. So they just have to switch to Fabric and they will get some access to other things along with their existing things. And then they can explore it. They can like what we can say that they can implement other things which they are currently working on, and they will get easy to navigate interface, and with the help of Copilot they can easily explore. If they are a non-tech person, then they can like perform analysis with the use of Copilot. So this is what it means by business model.
Anmol, we are also having one more question in
Yeah,
Q&A. Can you have a look?
yeah. Which one, Govind?
Q&A.
Can you please read the question once?
Can we consider One Lake as a centralized database? Yeah, it's from Vipin.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
already answered, I think. Okay, no problem. Please go ahead, Anmol.
yeah, so can you please explain the flow again for Data Factory to Power BI? Sure. So let's navigate back to the Power BI side, and I will show you how we can create the data factory and what it contains. So the data factory contains two major things as we discussed. The one is data flow generation 2, and the second one is data pipeline. So we have already created a pipeline. Now let's create a data flow. Okay, so this is the interface which we get in the data flow. Now assume the data is available at any particular source. It is already existing in a SQL server or any particular place. So if you have worked with Power BI, so generally we import the data using the get data button. So here we also have the button to explore so many sources available. You can see there is Excel workbook, SQL Server database, SharePoint available, and there is again one lake. And if you scroll down, there are this much options available. So at any place your data is available, you just have to select it, and it will import the data into your data flow. In this place, you will see your tables available. Then you can perform the transformation, whatever you want to perform. If you want to directly dump it as it is, then once you import the data, you will get an option to store it into lakehouse or where you can select the option where you want to store your data. Same thing in pipeline, as both of them are the part of data factory. So if we go to pipeline, we get so many activities. So in the activities part, you can see we have the copy data activity. We have notebooks available. We can use the existing data flows. We can create a stored procedure or scripts. And if you click on this, you can see there are so many activities available. So if we can directly add them to the canvas. And now you can see we get the options on the bottom of the screen. Firstly, we have to select the source from where we want to import the data. Okay, so firstly you have to select the source, then you have to select the destination. So here you can select the existing lakehouse or warehouse. Then you can import the schemas, existing schema, or you can create your new. And whenever you run this pipeline, the data will move from the source to the destination. So in this way, it will come to lakehouse or warehouse. Once it is available in the lake section, you can go to Power BI. And in the Power BI, you can see this new option of One Lake Data Hub. So you have to click on it. Now let's suppose you have stored that data in your lake house. You just have to click on it, and you have to enter your credentials, and then you will see the list of all your existing lake house and warehouse, and then simply in the similar manner we can import that data into our Power BI. So this is the flow of how we can get the data from source using data factory to the Power BI part. I guess there is one more question. Gaurav has already answered it. The various type of layers. So Gaurav, like if you want to share.
Yeah, so I can see there is a question. Can you explain a bit more about bronze, silver, and gold layers? So, as I mentioned, these are the stages of medallion architecture. So, I'm looking for a specific question which Paras is having. So, Paras, if you have any specific question other than this, you can ask on the medallion architecture, because covering all these steps will take some time. Yes, we can definitely skip layer, but it completely depends on the requirement. So let's say if we have three layers, bronze, silver, and gold. So bronze would be the raw, right? Wherein we have to stage the raw data, right? Now, when we apply transformation and do any other or apply any other transformation technique, then we will have to keep the staging layer in between from the last layer, which is enriched, and or you can call it as gold, and the raw. So in that case, if you are applying the data transformation, then you must have uh, uh, all three stages or the layers there in the architecture. But let's say if there is no transformation is required, then you can directly keep the raw data from in the silver, and then you can just create a gold layer wherein from which you can fuel your Power BI or maybe Tableau or any other business intelligence tool. I hope this is clear now. Where are the data of these different layers saved? So if we talk about Fabric, everything is stored in one lake, right? So one lake is the backbone of Fabric. So whatever you save on or perform any transformation on Fabric, it will be saved in one lake by default.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is one more question I can see from Deepak. So he's want to explain how the data warehouse and lake house are different with example. So let me share my screen and show you one demo. Okay, so you can see I have just created one demo lakehouse and one demo warehouse within the workspace we are talking about. So as I said, there is one major difference, which is in the lakehouse we can store unstructured as well as structured data, but in warehouse we can only store the structured data. So now I will show you the interface of Lakehouse first. So this is the Lakehouse interface which we get. And here you can see there are two things. One is tables and the second one is files. And when talking about the warehouse, so the interface of warehouse is this, where you get the similar interface, kind of the SQL Server we use. So here you can only store the data into tabular format. Now let's say you have any unstructured data. So you can directly click on this file section and you can upload the data from your local machine. Uh, the unstructured data will get stored into this section, and then later you can convert that data into the tabular form. But there are, as we discussed, Fabric has recently launched. There are so many limitations. There are some formats which are currently not supported. Let's say you can convert the CSV file into the tabular form, but the Excel file will not be supported. So in this way, there are lots of limitations till now, which Microsoft is currently working on. So you can check out the documentation for it, like what things are supported, what are not supported. And then in the warehouse, again, we have the option to get data. But here we can get data using only the data flow generation 2 and the data pipeline. And there are few sample data options also available. So in this way, the data is going to stored only in the tabular form. After it, you will get the model layout option too in the warehouse. So here you can perform the data modeling just like we do in the Power BI desktop. So we can perform same kind of modeling here and directly use this modeling into our Power BI reports. So this is the major difference between the lakehouse and warehouse. So Deepak, we can save the data in any house. Yeah, it depends on the requirement, like what kinds of requirement you have, like what with what warehouse or lakehouse you want to move ahead. It will be totally up to you. Okay, is there any other question? Okay, we will be moving ahead. You can surely drop your more questions in the chat box and later we will answer that. So now let's move ahead with the introduction of Power BI and then Govind will take ahead with you with the practical part. So I will just give you the basic overview of what is Power BI. So as we all know, Power BI is a business intelligence tool which will help to analyze the data, and Power BI also help to clean and transform data and convert that into visual format. So generally what happens, the data we stored in warehouse or for a very basic purpose, understand that the data is stored in a Excel file. So the data will be available in a table and column form, like row and column form. So let's suppose you are a CEO of any company and you want to see that which region is performing well in terms of sales or which region is performing low. So by looking on the Excel sheet, you cannot drive the results. You can surely see the values, but it will consume lot of time. Now let's suppose there are five uh, regions in which the company is performing and all these five regions are sending their reports every month. So there will be lot of Power BI, like lot of Excel files available, and it will be very difficult to navigate to each one of them and see the data and then come to a result. So to deal with these kind of purposes, what Microsoft has done is they introduce the Power BI in which we can import our data. We can perform any kind of transformation if you want to apply, and then later convert that data from the tabular form to the visual form. So you can see we have a Excel. I have attached a screenshot of Excel file. So this is the kind of data which we see in the Excel file. But in terms of seeing it in a visual form, we have this report. So we can create these type of report into Power BI in which we can convert that data into visuals form. You can create various type of charts. You can create KPIs. You can customize it by providing the page navigation option, or there are so many filters options also available that you can filter your data based on any category you want. So in this way, there are so many options available within Power BI. So now why Power BI? So Power BI, because it supported so many data sources, we have options to import the data from lots of sources. Then it is the interface of it is it's very similar to the Excel. We get the option for Power Query Editor. Then it contains rich visualization set. There are so many visuals available, and we can also import custom visuals within the Power BI report. We can work on the shared data set. It can handle the large data set also, and there are so many deployment options, and we can collaborate with each other on the Power BI report. So these are few benefits of Power BI. Now you can see that initially this is the Gartner chart which release every year. So this is for the previous year. You can see when Microsoft Power BI is launched, that time so many tools are available like Tableau, Click, and Microsoft is at third, like the Microsoft Power BI. But over the period of time, you can see the growth of Microsoft Power BI. Industries are moving toward the Power BI tool. Various organizations are using it. So in this way, Microsoft Power BI is on boom, we can say. And on the Google Trends too, you can see the growth of the Power BI over the time. So moving ahead, there is one major question which comes in when we are starting in the field of data analytics or as a freshers. Then this is the major question that which tool we have to choose. Can it be either Power BI or it should be Tableau. So you can see the difference between the Tableau and Power BI. In terms, generally we have to perform the analysis and the visualization in these tools. So the Tableau provide 180 plus functions. On the other hand, Power BI provide 1300 plus functions. In terms of data visualization, Tableau contain 24 visuals, default visuals, while Power BI contain 41 default visuals. And in terms of advanced visualization, Tableau provides us the feature for the 50 plus advanced visuals. On the other hand, in Power BI, we have 500 plus advanced visuals. And same goes for the connectors, like the data sources which we can import from where we can import the data into Power BI. So in Tableau, we have the 80 plus connectors available, but in Power BI, we have 185 plus connectors available. And then there are a few others too. You can read on the screen. We have differences in the data cleaning, the web scraping part, email integration. We have the option of direct exchange online, using which we can import directly emails from the Outlook to Power BI. Then we have the Microsoft compatibility and MacBook compatibility you can see on the screen, then mobile UI and the software updates. So this is the major thing. Tableau releases its update every 2, 3 or 6 months period, but Power BI introduce new features every month. You can simply go to the Power BI website and you can see every month they release a new blog which contain lot of updates. So this is a like rapidly growing tool which is uh, familiar with the new technology and in terms of costing, the Tableau is $70 per month per user, but Power BI is comparatively very cheap in terms of Tableau. So Power BI we can get at $20 per user per month. So these are the major differences between Power BI and Tableau. Now moving ahead to the roadmap to develop a dashboard. So as a beginner, we generally thought that we just get the data, we have to import the data into Power BI, and then using that data, we can create the report. But this is not the thing. Firstly, we have to install the Power BI and get the data, which is the first thing. Once you get the data, you have to perform various kind of transformation. Because when we talk about the dummy project, we generally get the clean data or structured data. But when you start working on the real life project, the data will be messy. The data contain the duplicate rows. There will be lot of columns which are not users. So for all those things, you have to perform that data cleaning. You have to transform your data based on the requirement. So for that, you have to use the Power Query editor. Once you perform all these transformation thing, then you can import that like load that data into Power BI desktop. So once you import that all the tables of your data into Power BI desktop, then you have to perform the data modeling, because there will be you have to use the filters or you have to relate the data from one table to another. So for that you have to perform the data modeling. Then you have to perform so many kind of analysis, like you have to create measures, you have to create calculated columns as per the requirement. And once all these things get done, then comes the visualization part. After it, you start creating the data visualization, like the reports we say, you create various visuals, then you have to work on the theme, you have to work on the UI UX part, like how the client want to see it. Once this is done, then you publish that report on the Power BI services, from where you can share the reports with the end users or with your clients. So this is the flow of the end-to-end Power BI project. And these are the few major components which Govind is going to cover. So firstly, Power BI desktop, which contain the query editor, Power Pivot, and Power View. So as we already discussed, in query editor, we can transform the data, then we get the option for data modeling, and the Power View, which is just that report view of the Power BI. So in that we can create the reports. Apart from it, there is Power BI service and Power BI mobile app. So services generally used for sharing and collaborating with others, sharing your reports, and Power BI mobile app, you can access your report on your mobile phone. So these are the major components. Now I will request Govind to move ahead and to show a end-to-end demo of how we can import and transform the data, and later how we can create the report. So before it, let's check if we have any more questions. Yeah, so the data size limit. So Power BI, yes, Power BI does have limit, and there are various types of licenses available. So the limit get varies on it. But in One Lake, when we talk about One Lake, so yeah, this is the one thing which I missed. So Microsoft Fabric license is the one thing, but you have to purchase a One Lake license apart from the Fabric license. But the cost of it is very low, so it will be 0.18 $0.18 something. So you can purchase the 1 lakh license, at the capacity or compute you will get will be based on it. So the whatever amount of data you have, then you can buy the storage on the basis of it, and there will be no limit on the storage side of the 1 lakh.
And in Power BI as well, there are multiple tiers available. So it completely depends on the tier which we have selected in when we talk about the data capacity, data limit, right? So whenever you are selecting a license, then you must review the size of the data, and based on, so there is a table available on Microsoft documentation which will help you to guide, like it will guide you to select the correct tier, Power BI premium tier or any other tier. So because we also have multiple tiers available in Microsoft Fabric as well. So it's better to go over that table before selecting or finalizing any license type.
Yeah.
Yes, Govind, over to you.
Yeah, so hello everyone, good morning. So I'm sharing my screen. Anmol, is it visible?
Yes, Govind.
Okay, today, like the agenda for Power BI part is how our Power BI project goes. So first we identify the data source. The data that you want to report. So it may be located at data warehouses, databases, or it may be located at the Excel file. So first we need to identify what data source, the data we need to import into the Power BI. Then we bring those data into the Power Query editor, and there we can perform data transformation and cleaning tool. So like we have Python as well for data cleaning, but there you have to write the lengthy code. But the specialty of Power Query editor is that with some clicks you can perform the various data transformation operations like group by, append, merge. You can remove columns and rows. And it is just by using the interface of the software. You don't have to write the code. Then we import, save the transformation, and then we bring that data into the Power BI desktop, where we perform data modeling. Data modeling is we establish the relationship between the tables, so that we can have a logic in our report of filtering. And here our main goal is to reduce the data size. So then we use Power BI desktop, and there we build visuals, and we add interactive elements to the report. Like Anmol shared the report with you, where you can see the buttons and slicers. So those are the interactive elements in your report, where you can filter the data, you can move between different pages, and lot more. Then after you done with the data visualization part and you build the report, then you deploy your Power BI reports to the Power BI service, which is also called a Microsoft Fabric now. Earlier it was called Power BI Services, where you can create a workspaces for sharing and collaboration purposes. So let's have a hands-on experience on how Power BI's interface looks like, and what are the options available to get the data. So here you can see this is my Power BI interface, and here you get a home button. Then if you have to open some files that are located in your local machine, then you can click on open, and you'll get the list of all the recently opened file. So you can choose from here and you can open the file. Then you can also, if the file is not present here, then you can also browse in your computer. Yeah. So here you get the list, and here you get some options related to the file. So first, what you need to do, you need to click on this blank report. So it will create a blank report for you. So this is a Power BI interface. Yeah. So here you can see this is a ribbon box, and here you see the various options. So it's a home tab where you get several options related to getting the data and transforming it. And if you want to insert some kind of visuals or text box, then you can do it from here, and some other options. Then we have the insert tab. So whatever like interactive features you want to add to your report and visuals you want to add, you can insert it from here. So here you can see you can add buttons, shapes, text box, images, and you can add a visual as well. Then you have a modeling view. So if you want to create a calculated table or calculated column, it is from the DEX coding language. Then you have a view option. So there are various kind of views. You can take help of it as well. Then other options as well. So these are the options available in the like home tab and other tabs. So here you can see you have three panes open. So this is a data pane. So whatever the tables that you have, it appears here, and you can select the visuals that you want to build from your data from this pane. And if you want to filter apply some kind of filters to your report, then this pane is for that. So this is the right part of your interface. And then here, if I can see, if you can see that, like here we have four options available. So first is report view. Report view is we are at current we are in the report view where you build a report, and like the canvas is visible, you can add a new pages. Then we have a data view. So data view is what like here when you load the data, so all the tables appears here, and you can see like what data present in your uh, data set. So from here you can also apply some filters and you can sort the data. Then you have a modeling view. Here you can establish the relationship between your tables, and it's a new view. It is a DEX query view where it allows us to write DEX queries. DEX is a data analysis expression where with the help of this you perform custom calculations, and you create measures, calculated columns and calculated tables. So with the help of DEX queries you can query your data like we do for SQL. So let's get started. So let me tell you about the data set that I'm gonna use. So this is a sample data set which is a adventure work sales. So these many tables I have now in my data set, and it is an Excel file. So if after the webinar you guys want to practice, then I'll drop this file to the chat. You can practice as well. So I'm gonna use this file. So what's the way of getting data into the Power BI? So here you get the get data options, and you get a list of various connectors that are available. So you can choose any of that, and you can select and use credential, and then Power BI will bring the data into the Power BI interface, and then you can do reporting, and you can analyze your data. So my current source is a Microsoft Excel. So either I can go from here and I can choose Excel workbook, or here it also provides some options on our interface itself where we can get our data from the data sources. So I have to click on that, and then just I need to select my file. So my file is Adventure Works, and it will load my data. Like it will read the Excel file and it will load my data. Okay, so here you all can see. Yeah, so here you all can see I get a list of tables: customer, date, product, reseller, sales order, and sales territory. So total I am having a seven tables. But you like you also see I am getting the repetitive tables. It is because here at the like upper tables, here it has identified first row as a column. So it is highlighting that whether you want to keep first row as your column headers, or you just want to import the data. So you just need to check out all the tables that you want to import into your Power BI interface. Okay, so it also provides us the preview. like what data stores in the tables. So you can see from here, currently I have sales table selected, so it is giving me the data accordingly, and I can preview the data by selecting from here. Okay, so here at the bottom, if you can see, I get three options: load data, transform data, and cancel. So when you click on load data, so it loads the data into the Power BI desktop interface. And suppose you want to do some basic data cleaning and you want to transform your data. So you need to click here, transform data. So let's click here. So it will open up the new window, a new interface, which is called Power Query Editor. So as I talked about it earlier, Power Query Editor is a tool with the help of which you can transform your data with using just the interface, no coding required, and you can do some basic data transformation. So here I have got a tables, like all the tables, it is appearing here in the queries. So this is called a query pane, where your queries are also called tables. So tables appears here, and similar to Power BI desktop, I am having some like things here as well, where each category has some data transformation we can do with the help. If we want to add column, then we need to go to add column. If we have a view, then we can choose some options that is available in a view. So we have some tools here as well, so we can choose accordingly. And this is my formula bar. So suppose this is my customer table and I applied one transformation. I click over here, and suppose I apply here remove duplicates. So here you can see one step is added. So whatever command you are giving here, or like whatever uh, options you are using in Power Query Editor. So one steps gets recorded over here. It is a applied steps pan, and you can see what are the steps you are applying. And you can, if you want to like go to the previous state of your table, then you can simply click over this cross icon, then it will bring the data to the previous state. So here there is a no like thing called undo. You can simply cross from here and you can return to your previous state. And this is my formula bar. So whatever the steps you applied, so one coding, like one code gets applied in the backend. So you can see here, if I click again and remove duplicates, so for this was the formula that Power Query has used in the backend to transform the data and process the data. So this is my formula bar, and yeah, let's remove this. And so what are the options available? So first, in query editor, if you right click over here in the customer table, so I have some options available. I can copy this and paste it. Like if I copy it and paste it, so it will create a copy customer and customer two, right? And then I can paste, I can delete the query, I can rename it by using here. From here we can rename the query, and there is one more option available to rename the query. So here I can right click and rename, and either I can go to the properties section and I can rename it from here as well. So other options, delete, rename, we have done, we have like covered that. So these are the options. If you uncheck this option, enable load, so what will happen when you like close and apply the transformation, and this data will appear in Power BI desktop, so this particular table will not load. So this option is for that. And include in report refresh. So what happens, like there are options available for refreshing the data set to have a look on up to date data. So suppose if you do not want that this customer table gets updated and then it gets refreshed, so you can uncheck this option. So what will happen when the data refresh will happen, so it will not refresh the data in the customer table. Whatever the data it has captured now, it will show you that much data only. Then you can duplicate your query, then you can reference it. So what are the what are the difference between these two options? So suppose if I click the duplicate, So it will just create a copy of my customer table. So whatever the it becomes the separate queries now. So if suppose I remove one column from here, suppose this postal code column. So if I want to remove this column, so I just need to right click and I need to click on remove. So here you can see one steps has been applied, removed columns. So here if you see here in customer table, that was a duplicate table of customer, that uh, that column is present here, but in original query we have removed that column. And when you reference a table, okay, so suppose let's remove one more column from here. Suppose I am removing this country and region column. So whatever the transformation you apply in your original query, so it's get recorded in here as well. So here you can see my region column has been removed. So that's the difference between a duplicate and reference. For now, I'm like removing the step. Okay, so these are some options that you get here. So mainly in Power Query Editor, we apply the data transformation at we can categorize the data transformation in two parts. One is row level transformation where we play with the rows, and one is a column level transformation where we do transformation by considering columns. So suppose if you want to get a list of frequently used options, like frequently used data transformation options, so you just need to click on this table icon, this drop down menu, and you'll get all the list of the options that the frequently used options. So let's have a look one by one. So suppose you want to do some row level transformation, so these are the options available: keep top rows, bottom rows, duplicates, errors, and remove rows. So here you can see my row number one is not having that much data. So simply I need to click here and this option remove top rows. So how many rows I want to remove it from the top. So suppose I want to remove only first row. So I will enter here 1 and it will remove the first row from the data set. So here you can see the blank row has been disappeared. Similarly, here we have the options for bottom rows. So it will do like it will remove the rows from the bottom. So if I want to remove the rows like 5 rows from the bottom. Okay, so it was a keep option, so it has just kept the 5 rows and it has removed the other rows. And top rows is similar to that. And suppose you want to keep the duplicate, so you can click on this option, and if your data has errors and you want to keep it, so you can click on keep errors option. So currently my data set is not having any kind of error, so I'm not using this option. Remove top rows I have already covered. Remove bottom rows, so it will remove the rows from the bottom. And then we have remove duplicates. So suppose if you want to remove some values that in a column or in a data set, you want to remove the duplicates, so it will remove the duplicate rows. Duplicate rows is what, for each column there is the similar records, so this is called a duplicate rows or duplicate records, so it will remove that. So now we have column level transformation. So whenever I right click on any column, so it give me some options. So these are called column level operations. So if I want to remove this particular column, so it's being selected right now. And how we identify that, because you can see the column header, the background for this has been turned green. Similarly, you can select any column and you can do the transformation. So if you want to copy the column, so it will create a copy and you can paste it into your data set. Then you can remove the column as I told you earlier. Then you can remove the duplicates from the columns, you can remove the errors, and suppose like here if yeah, just a minute. Okay, so suppose here the data type is my integer, so you can go here, and if you want to change the data type of a column, then you can go here at change type, and you can select, suppose I want to convert this column into the text, so I can click over here, text, so it will convert my column to the text type. Similarly, I can there is one more option to convert the data type, which is just click over here this ABC123 icon, and it will give you the options available to change the data type. So having a correct data type for a column is a key thing in Power BI, because it may affect our report performance and query loading in many scenarios. So we always need to make sure that whatever the data type we are keeping for the column, it is suitable. So similarly, if like I have any date column, so I can let me find any date column. Okay, so yeah, this one. So here you can see this column is of date type, and if I convert it into the text, so we can convert it. But this is a date column, since we are interested here in doing the transformation based on times, like we want to track the record month wise, year wise, quarter wise. So it should be always present in a date type. Okay, so these are my tables, and what other options we have? Okay, so you can transform your data, you can perform some mathematical operations. Then, okay, so the three major options that I want to cover now is append, merge, and group by. So suppose this is my product table, and I want to find out color wise record, like for each color how many products I have. So I can simply select this column, right click, and I can click on group by. So it will allow us to group the table just by using the interface. So my here I need to select the column that I need to perform group by upon, and what will be the new column name. So you can just give any column. I'm giving here count. Then what operation you need to perform. So I want to count rows, so that I can find out, like for each color how many products I am having. So here you can see it has grouped your rows. So for black we have 129 products, for red we have 63. So like that you can do you can use a group by column, a group by operation. Now the other option that we have is append and merge. So what is the difference between append and merge? So suppose this is my sales table, and I have a product key here. So product key is what? Like for this particular record, what product has been sold, and I want to fetch the records from the product table, like what was the name of the product, what was the model, and what is the uh, color of the product. So in this scenario, if I want to just combine these two table, and out of this two table I want to make one big table. So in that scenario, when I am having a common column present between my tables, product key here and product key here, so in that scenario we can use a merge query. So let's use them. So I will click over here, and I will click here on merge queries. So since currently I'm having a sales table selected, so it has chosen sales table as my upper table, and I can right click over here, and I can choose product table. Okay, so we need to click on the columns that is common between two tables, because for merging we need to have a common column. So I have chosen product key column from sales table and product key column from the product table, and then here you can specify what join you need to perform, like what kind of join you need to perform. So it is similar to the joins that we use in SQL: left join, right join, full outer join, inner join, where in inner join you only get the matching rows, and in right join you get all the records from the right table but the matching records from the left table. And right, and similarly left outer join, where you get the records from the left table and the matching records from all the records from the left table and matching from the right table. So here I am choosing inner join because here I am interested in only in the records which are present in both the tables. So I click over here, I choose the join from here, and I click on OK. So it will merge the table. Let's wait for some time. Okay. So what we have done is that we have brought the product table here. So here you can see I'm getting the records in the form of table. So simply I can right click over here, and whatever the column from the product table I want to show in my sales table, I can choose from here. So from product table I want to know that what is the name of SKU and product, what was the standard cost, color, and the model and category and subcategory. So I click on OK, and I have removed product key and list price from here. So here you can see I have got the all the columns related to the product. So this is the merge queries. Now I am undoing. Okay, so let's have a look on append queries. So append queries is what? So suppose let's keep some records. So here I'm having a customer table, and here I'm also having a customer 3 table. So here let me check the columns. Okay, so customer 2 and customer 3. Let's for now suppose that we are having the list of customers, like the different list of customers. In customer 2 we have some different customers, and in customer 3 we have some different customers. So if we want to merge these two queries or the two tables into a one table, so we will use append queries at that time. So for appending we must have the conditions. So for appending we must have the same column present in our data set. So here you can see customer key, customer ID, customer city, and in customer 3 as well we have the same number of columns, and the data type of those columns should be same. So I can then use merge queries, and I can merge the data. So I will click over here and I will click on merge queries. So my customer 2 table is selected, and I can select what table you want to perform append upon. So customer 2 to customer 3. So it will combine the rows of the word table. I think I have clicked on merge again, append queries. Okay, so two tables, because I have two tables in my logic, which is customer 2 and customer 3. If I want to perform append on more than two tables, then I can choose over here. I can click these options. Then I will select customer 3, and then I will click on OK. So what it will do, it has appended the customer 2 records in customer 3 records, and it has given me the master table, which contains the data which was available in both the table. So let's undo it. So yeah, this was the common data transformation options that is available in Power Query Editor. So for now, I'm just removing and keeping the main table. Let's remove this. Okay, so these are my main tables. So when we done with the data transformation part, then what we do, we click on this button, which is a close and apply. So here, if you click on close, then it will close the Power Query editor, and it will bring this data into the Power BI desktop where we build report. And I will click here on close and apply. So it will apply all the transformation that I have done in Power Query editor, and it will close the editor. Now here you will see your table will get load and your data start appearing here at the right corner of the interface. You can see the list of tables that you are having.
Govind, before moving ahead, we have
Mm-hmm.
few questions
Okay.
related to Power Query. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
discuss them.
Okay.
So the first one was related to the how we can import one leak data into Power BI. So I will be sharing my screen and show you
Yeah.
a demo. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay. So when we sign into Power BI, or we can say Microsoft Fabric, we use a account for it. So let's say you can see I am using my account anmol.m uh, @addendanalytics.com. So this is my account which I use to log into the Microsoft Fabric. Now let's say I want to import the data in my Power BI desktop. So I will open the Power BI desktop app, and on the top you will get an option to sign in using your account. So here you can see I have signed in now. So in this way you can sign in here. You have to see that it will be the same account which you have used earlier. And now you can click on this One Lake Data Hub button. And now here we have multiple options. So let's say your data is stored in Lakehouse. So you just have to click on the Lakehouse button, and then you will get the list of all the data base, or we can say all the lakehouse you have created. We get the list of all of them, and then you just have to simply click on that, click on the connect button, and once you click on it, you can see the data. We get the data. It is loading. Just give me a minute. Okay, let me check if that contain data or not. So this is the demo lakehouse. So it doesn't contain the data till now, as this was for the demo purpose. So let's see a different one. But for an example, let's say if you have some data like tables available, then that will appear here. And on the bottom, you can see we can see that connected live to the Power BI semantic model, and then it mention the lakehouse name in the Microsoft Fabric webinar. So this is the workspace name. So in this way, you can connect to your Power BI desktop, or we can say you can get the data from the Fabric into your Power BI desktop. So I hope this will help. Other than that, there was one also good question, which was related to how we can see the duplicate values in terms of large data set. So for that, what you can do is before when you import your data, there is one option for column profiling. So Govind, can you please share your screen and go to the Power Query editor once again?
Yes, Anmol, sure.
Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yeah. So in terms of large data set, so you have to go to the Power Query editor to see the duplicate value. So right now on the bottom, you can see that it is written as column profiling based on top 1000 row. But if you want to see for the complete data set, then you can click on it and change it to column profiling based on entire data set. And now you can go to the view section from the top, and you can click on the column profile button. And here you can see all the details related to your data set. You can see the count of all the like count, error, empty, distinct and unique. And there are also other details available too. So in this way, you can get the overview of your complete data set. So this is how you can explore your data set in terms of large data set. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. So now Govind, you can move ahead.
Yes. Okay, so I hope like everyone can see my desktop window, Power BI interface. So let's start with the data modeling part. So as I mentioned earlier, like how our Power BI project flow goes, like we start with Power Query editor, and then after bringing the data into the Power BI desktop, then we establish the relationship between the tables. So let's have a look what exactly is data modeling. Just a minute. Yeah. So I'm sharing my PPT. Okay, so when I talk about data modeling, so it is establishing the relationship between different tables and creating custom calculations which will be required for data analysis. So here in the screenshot or in the image, you can see I have my table, sales table, or I can say it a fact table, and it is connected to different dimensions. So here, like the logic is that so this fact table contains the keys of this surrounded tables like product ID, country ID, city ID, employee ID. So it just contains the keys of my dimension tables. And whenever I need to fetch any kind of records, so suppose here it is product ID, and I want to know like from product ID, I cannot exactly have a description like what was the product, what was the model, what was the color. So I will fetch the record from my product table, which will contain all the distinct products that my business sells and what color it has, its SKU, and its unit price, its model. Everything will be descriptive. Description will be in the product table, so I can fetch it from the product table in my visualization. So this is the main logic for data modeling, and we do it for reducing the redundancy, because if I store all the information in my fact table, then my fact table can have a multiple rows, because for each product I need to store its description many times. Column will be like there will be more number of columns and more number of rows. That's why like it's a practice, or it's a like arrangement of keeping the tables uh, in this structure so that it becomes robust. Let's go to the next slide. So keys. So when we talk about if you have learned databases or SQL, so there are the concepts of keys where we for some columns we identify them as a keys to uniquely identify each record in a table. So similar to that we have in a Power Query as Power BI as well. So we have types of keys, which is a primary key and foreign key. So I explained it like earlier. Primary key is a unique key in nature and it doesn't repeat itself in records. In the above table, ID is a primary key. So here I can see in my fact table, whatever the IDs are, so it is for the uniquely identifying the records. So it cannot be a null and it cannot repeat itself in a rows. So it's a specialty of primary key. Then we have a foreign key. So primary key and foreign key. So here I explained like I explained earlier, foreign key. So in product ID, it is a primary key for the product table, but when we record it in the fact table, so it becomes a foreign key, because it is a primary key of some other table, but it is appearing here in the fact table. That's why we are calling it a foreign key. So in fact table, we generally have foreign key repetitive, but in dimension tables, we will only have a primary key at a once time. So primary keys are appearing in once time in a dimension table, and when it becomes foreign key, so it can have a duplicate records in the fact table, because one product can be sold many times. That's why. So let's go to the next PPT. We have discussed about the primary key and foreign key. Then we have two types of tables in our Power BI data model, which is a dim product and dimension table and fact table. So what is the difference between them? So fact table contains all like the large number of data, and it contains the records related to events like sales of each day, or anything related to like banking transaction each day. So it is like that. It contains the event record, and it has the numbers like quantities, sales, revenue, like that. And dimension tables are a description table. It has like low number of rows, and it is not very much big in terms of rows and columns, and it is just for providing the extra information for description and extra information for the products. So here in Power Query you can see, let's go to the table view where we can see the tables. Okay, so here you can see like this is my sales table, and if you want to see how many records it has, so here at the left bottom corner you can see sales, and we have 1,21,253 records. So in fact table we generally have large number of records, and it contains the events like on a day, what was the sales record. But if I talk about the product, so it is generally very low in number. So you can see only 397 records I am having. So it is the product that my business sells. So I keep it as a dimension table. And whenever I need to fetch any kind of records, any kind of description, so I can have a look over here, like products, model, color, and cost. I have repeated it earlier as well. So there's the logic for dimension table and fact table. Let's move ahead. Okay, so we have a cardinality and cross filter direction. So when I talk about cardinality, so we have four types of cardinality, which is one to one, one to many to one, and many to many. When we will build data model in Power BI, we will have a look on that as well. But for now, let's cover the theoretical part. So one to one is what? Employee to employee salary. So this is suppose I'm having an employee table and employee salary table. So in employee table, I will have a record for each employees, and in employee salary as well, I can have a record for each employee, like how much salary he's earning as of now. So I can call it that for one employee I am having a one distinct record in employee salary, where I'm storing the salary information of one employee. One to many cardinality, it is a customers to orders. So one customer can place many orders, right? So that's why we call it one to many cardinality, because there can be a multiple orders, and there can only be a one customer for that. So one to many. Then many to one, so orders to products. So in orders we have generally we have many orders that can have the product, and so it is like opposite to the one to many relationship. When my table interchange, so it becomes many to one. Then I'm having a many to many cardinality, so students to courses. So many students can enroll in many courses, and many courses can be assigned to many students. So this is a cardinalities that we have. Then we are also have the cross filter direction, both in single and type of relationship. So I'll explain it when I'll establish the relationship between the tables in the Power BI desktop. So I'll cover that there. So what is the way of creating a relationship in a Power BI? So first is manually, then managing relationship options, and then auto detect options. Okay. So let's build a data model. For building a data model, I will go here at model view. Okay. So as of now, you can see these are my tables, and this is a canvas where I build a data model. So this is my main fact table, sales table. So it has detected the it has detected the relationship between the tables automatically. So this is a one way of establishing the relationship between the tables. Let me arrange them firstly. Okay. So here, for enabling the auto detection option, you can go here at the file, and you can go to the options and settings options. And then you can go to Okay, so you need to go to the current file data load section. So from here you can see in the relationship section, I'm having the third point, auto detect new relationships after data is loaded. So if you have enabled this option, then what it will do, it will automatically detect the relationship by looking at the common columns between the tables. So if you do not want this, then you can like you want to establish the relationship by yourself, then you can uncheck this option and you need to click on OK. Since it has beforehand identified the relationship, so I can delete it and then I can by myself establish a relationship. So for deleting a relationship, I will go here and through this relationship button and I will right click and I will click on delete. So it will delete the option, delete the relationship between the tables. Similarly, I will delete this as well. Okay, so one way was auto detect and another way by dragging. So what you can do, so suppose here you have sales table and suppose this is my product table. So what's the way of linking both tables through the product key column? So from like here I am having product key here and I am having product key here. So I will just drag the product key and I will align it with the column here. So it will open up a relationship window where we can have a review like it has picked up the right column or not. So product table, product key, it has highlighted that, and sales table product key, it has highlighted that as well. So it has fetched the right column and this is my window from which table to which table my relationship goes, and here I am having the cardinality option. So I can select what relationship what cardinality you want to have in your tables. So here I want to have one to many because my the product to sales will go to one to many, and as we looked into the PPT, the cross filter direction single and both. So if I kept it single, so my like originally like ideally what goes like uh, filters move from dimension table to fact table. So here my product is dimension table and sales is a fact table. So it will go one to many here, one to many. So it means the product table can filter the records of the sales table. But if you, in some cases, if you want that my sales table can also filter the product table, so I can choose here both. So what will happen? It will, these tables can filter each other, but it is not an ideal condition, ideal scenario. We should use it. So we should always keep it single. And then we have some options, make this relationship active. So if I uncheck this, then Power BI will create an inactive relationship between the tables. So for, as of now, I am keeping it active and I will click on save. So here you can see it has established the relationship between the tables, and this down icon represents that my filters goes in this direction towards the sales table from the product table. And you can see this is one, so it represented the relationship is one and star represents many, so one to many, and the direction cross filter direction is towards the sales table. So if suppose I want to change it or edit the relationship, I can click over here and I can go to the properties. From here I can choose both if I want to have my cross filter direction to the both tables. So I'll click both over here and I will save the option. So here you can see now you can have a look. Let me zoom. So like my filters can move from product to sales as well and sales to product because it is showing here, it is giving me two arrows. So filter can go in both the directions. So let's keep it single. So this is a way of establishing the relationship between the tables. And what is an inactive relationship? So suppose let's have a look on date table. Date key, and I am having some order date key and ship date key, due date key. So if suppose I create a relationship between date and order date, let's click on save. Okay, so at a time between the two tables, if I just look over date and sales table, so at a time between two tables, I can only have one active relationship. So suppose I want to have one more relationship. Now it is between date and order date, but I want to have it on due date as well. So I can click over here and it will drag this date icon, date column to the due date. But what will happen when you will try to make this relationship active, this option when you will enable it, so it will not allow us. It will tell us that there are ambiguous path between sales and date table. So it will not allow us to create an active relationship. We have to keep it inactive. Okay, so let me zoom. So here you can see my date to order date is active relationship. It is in the black, it shows in a black color line, but my inactive relationship shows in dotted line. So here you can see clearly. So this is about the data modeling. So let's create a data model then. I want to connect to the customer to the sales table. So I can connect it with the customer key column. I am having those common column between the tables. So let's connect and save it. It will again one to many, because one customer can place many orders or can have many sales. Then I'm having reseller table. So it will give me the reseller details. This table will give me the reseller details. So I will need to go here on reseller key and then in here as a reseller key. So it's an easy task. Again, these are my sales to order and these are my sales table, and this is my sales order table. So I need to find a common column. So let's have a look. Okay, so sales order line key and sales order line key, both columns are present in the tables. I can connect them as well. Okay, now I'm having a sales territory key and sales territory key. So I will connect them as well. Okay, so here you can see now my table looks like a star schema, my data model, where I have a central table, which is a fact table that contains the event data. And I have the supported table, like my fact table is surrounded by some dimension table from where I can have a description. So we are almost done with the data modeling part. So let's move to the PPT, what is left. So we have covered the relationships. Okay, so calculated column. So let's talk about that. So what is a calculated column? So it is a way of creating a new column through the DEX formulas. So DEX is a like formula language, or I can say it is a language that works in Power BI. It is a core functional language of Power BI, where we can write calculated columns and calculated measures for our reports. So it allows users to perform custom calculations based on values from other columns. So with the help of other columns, we can create some new columns, and these calculated columns are stored in data model and recalculated during data refresh. It works on row context. So calculated columns works row by row, and we have measures as well. Measures always provide a single value, while calculated column provides a single value for each row. And as here it written, it works row by row, and it takes space in your data model. But when we talk about the measures, so it always provides us a single value, and it does not store in our data model, but it is computed based on the context of the report or visualization. So they always provide single value, and when used in other visual, it works according to the filter context. So these are two context. Measures work upon the filter context, and calculated columns works upon the row context. Okay, so I'll cover the DEX function later, but let's create some let's have a demo of calculated column and measures. So my data model has been created. I can go to the report view and I can start building my report or building my visuals. So let's first create a calculated column. So suppose here I'm having a sales table or product table. I will go to the table view. Okay, so suppose this is my sales amount column, and I want to have one more column that tells me for each record whether the sales are more than suppose 1000 or not. So I am having quite values here. So I can make a Boolean column where for creating a calculated column, you can right click on the table from like where you want to create a calculated column in the table. You have to right click and you will create a new column. So suppose I'm giving here it name as a test. So this is the name of my calculated column, and I can write if sales amount. So this is the DEX language that I'm using. So you can use DEX for creating calculated column measures and tables. So here my goal is to identify the records where sales are more than 1000. So I can choose the column. Here it is giving me the columns that is available in the sales table. So I will click on this column, sales amount column, and I will write my logic. If it is greater than 1000, then give me yes. And if I can provide else condition, so I can give here no. So why we create calculated column in many scenarios, we need to create some columns for doing our some custom calculations or building our logic for client's requirement. So that's why we create a calculated column. Let's name it greater than 1000. I'll click on this right icon. So it will create the calculated column for me. So here you can see where there are the cells which is less than 1000. So here you can see the no records, and where there are cells for more than 1000, then here you can see yes for those records. So this is the calculated column. Now let's talk about the measure. Okay. So let's create our measure. So suppose I want to find out how many total quantity I have sold. So I have this order quantity column. I can take a sum of this column for knowing how much quantity I have sold. So let's create new table. So it is always the ideal practice to have separate table for storing all your measures, because if you store your medal at your all the measures at the different tables, so at the time of searching it may be difficult for you to change the measures definition. So for storing it in a separate table, so it is always a good practice. So let's create some dummy table. So I can go here on enter data, and I will just name it measure table, and I will not store any kind of data in it. It is just for storing our measures. I will load this table into the data model. So I will click on load. So it will, once it gets loaded, it starts appearing here. You can see measure table. So now it doesn't have any column, but for storing measures, I have created this. So I can right click and I can go to new measure. Okay. So I want to find out total quantity. So I can write sum function. So what sum function does is that it just takes all the column values and it performs addition on those values. So it just sums up the all the values in a column. So it is asking for one parameter, which is a column name. So I will pass my quantity column over here. So once you start writing quantity, so Power BI's intelligence works behind, and it will show you all the fields that start with QU. So this is a easy interface for writing measures and a calculated column. So you can choose your column and you can hit enter. So you can drag this to the canvas, and you just change the type of the visual. It is selected now, and let's convert it into the card. So card visuals are for the scalar values. Whenever we want to see some scalar values, so we just click over the card and we can drag the values. So here you can see I could calculate the total quantity with the help of measure. So let's move to the PPT. We have done with the calculated column measures we are done with. Then we have some aggregation dex function. Before that, let's have a look on the type of visual that we are having. Anmol, do we have any kind of questions?
No, Govind, I guess we are good.
Okay.
So, everyone, if you have any questions related to data modeling or Power Query Editor and DAX till now with what we have discussed, then you can feel free to drop the questions in the chat box. And as Govind has explained about the data modeling thing, so in data modeling, we generally follow the best practice to avoid the many-to-many relationship. And in terms of data cleaning, so what we generally do is we remove the unnecessary columns or unnecessary data which is not required to optimize our data model. And same goes for the DEX. We try to avoid creating unnecessary DEX measures or calculated columns because it takes extra spaces and it will impact the performance of the report when there are so many measures or when we will be working with the real-time data. And while creating the DAX measures, there are various formatting like how you can write DAX. There are few things which you can follow. So you can surely look for the best practices while working on a Power BI project and you can follow it. So Govind, now you can move for the visualization part, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So
Govind, we have a question that can I have two or more fact table in our star schema?
yes, of course, we can, Paras, we can have a two fact table. No, actually, in a star schema, we generally have one fact table and it is connected to the dimension table. But when fact table gets increased, so it becomes a galaxy schema, if I'm not wrong.
Yep, that's correct, Govind.
Yeah.
It will be
And
Galaxy schema in that case.
yeah, because I can give you an example, Paras. So suppose I am having a sales table, which is connected to the different dimensions, but I am also having an inventory table. So it will also have like on a particular date, how much record, how much quantity I have for a particular product. So in that case, we will have two fact tables. One is inventory and one is sales, and then those two fact tables will be connected to the different dimension. So like when the fact table gets increased, so it becomes the galaxy schema. Okay, so let's start and build some visual in our Power Query, Power BI canvas. So this is called a canvas where we build where we build visuals, and these are the visualization options that we can choose from. So we are having the variety of charts and we can select any of the chart and we can start build and we can we just need to fill the data into the options that we have available and it starts appearing in our canvas. So let's start with first chart, which is a staked bar chart. So I will select it. Okay, so for like whenever we select any chart from the visualization pane, so we get some options like here this is the options to feed the data to your visual. Here you can see one tooltip is appearing, which is telling us add data to your visual. So what column you want to keep it in x-axis, y-axis, legend, small multiples. I will show you one by one. Then we have some formatting options here, and then we have some, we want to perform some analysis on our visual, then we can go here. So it like building a visual, it divides into the three categories. First, you add your data and then you do some kind of formatting and then you do some analysis on your visual. So suppose let's take some category. Okay. So I'm having a subcategory. Let's take it on y-axis and I've created one measure which is a quantity. So I can find it in measure table and let's take it on x-axis. So here you can see I'm having my chart, straight bar chart is visible, and it is telling me that road bikes has the most number of quantities, and again like it is giving the quantity count for each subcategory. So let's move it in the center, and this is we can control. And the legend option is what we can suppose want to further add more details to our visual, so we can do that as well. Suppose I want to find out. Okay, so let's drag country, region, or reseller to our legend. Okay, so it will split up each bar according to the reseller. So for each bar, it has given the distinguish colors, like for it is dividing the bar as per the reseller. So legend is what it further adds the detail to our visuals, and then we can have a small multiple as well. So what a small multiple does is that suppose I drag this category column in small multiples. So for each category, it makes a separate visual. So here accessories, bikes, clothing and components. These are my four categories, and for each category, it has built the visual for me. Okay, so we generally use bar chart when we have to compare the categories. Like suppose these are the many subcategories we are having many. So let's remove it and let's drag category. So in this scenario, it is an ideal case where we have a low number of categories, then we can choose bar chart to compare the categories and can find out like uh, which category is for most number of quantities and which has the least number of quantities. I can choose from here, and then we have other options, tooltips and as well. So for showing you how can we use tooltips, so I'm creating one more measure which is total sales. So I can use sum function again, and I will pass the sales amount column. Okay, so when I will use this measure in a tooltip section, so what will happen when I will hover over any data point or any bar? So it will show me the quantity as well as the total sales. So it is another way of providing the extra information to your visual, where you want that some extra information. So currently we are showing the quantity, but we also showing the total sales, but only when the user hovers over the bars. So this is a stacked bar chart. Okay, so why we are calling it stacked bar chart? Because we can further add some legend. Suppose I'm dragging this color in a legend, so it will divide my each bar according to the color, and that's why it is a stacked bar chart. Here you can also see in the image it has divided my bars into some sections, which can be doable by the legend option. So a bar chart always have the horizontal bars, and let's see what formatting options we have available. So we have y-axis. We can play with it, like we can increase the font size of the y-axis. Let's set it to 20. So you can see my font size getting bigger. I can have a control on color as well. So I can change color. Now it is appearing in black color. So I can choose some colors. Then I'm having the title category. I can turn it off or I can keep it on. And similarly, like I can change the color of the title and size of the title. Then I'm having x-axis. So similar to the y-axis, you will get the option in the x-axis as well, where you can change the color, you can turn off the title, and you can change the font size. Then we are having a legend. So for legend as well, we can have some options. Like currently it is at the top left corner, so I can choose the position. Suppose I am choosing top right. So here you can see my legend has moved to the top right. And I can also place this legend to the bottom. So I can choose, suppose I'm choosing bottom center. So my legend from top, it has disappeared and it is now showing in the bottom. So I can turn off the title of the legend as well. So when I turned it off, so the color, this color has been disappeared. So I can have a control on that. Then I have some other options as well, where I can have a grid line on my visuals. So it's currently in the gray color. So I can choose some lighter colors, some dark colors so that it appears. So I can add a grid line and I can change the size, color, and font style as well. So three or four options you will get everywhere for each element of your chart, which is font size. You can increase the font size. You can play with the transparency. So suppose I like increase the transparency, so it becomes much lighter. Then I can change the font size, font color, then other options like. So you will get everywhere this kind of option for every chart. So now I have some other options. So main options are data labels. So what is happening now currently, I cannot see like for each color and in each category, uh, how many quantity I have sold or what is the count of the quantity. So I can just turn on the data labels. Then it will show me correctly like bikes for bikes in the blue color, I'm having 32K, 8K, 18K, then I can distinguish exactly. So this is a way of showing numbers to your data. So you can play with the other formatting options that we have in the data labels option. So for each chart, you can have in visual section, you can have many formatting options. It is according to the chart style, chart type that you are currently working upon. So it may vary, but the general formatting options you will get for each visual, where you can set the height of the visual, what height you want to keep, like this. And you can also like drag and drop from the canvas to set the height and width of the visual. And then you can have a position option, so it will just move your visual. Then you have the padding option, then some advanced options where you can do some other things. Then you can here my title is total quantity and total sales by sales and color. So this is a title for my visual. So I can turn it off and I can again change the font color, font size from here, and I can have a control what text I want to give. So let's give it just total quantity. I can write my text here in the box by category. Okay, so these are for the, I can further play with other options, which is alignment. So I can align it in center, in right, in left. So that's up to me where I want to keep it. I can also provide some tough subtitle in case you need to provide some information. So you can provide subtitles. So similar to the title, you can have the options in subtitles as well, where you can enter your custom text and then you can choose the color and other things. Okay, so these are commonly used general formatting options that we have available to play with the visuals. Okay, Okay, so we will take the break for 1 minute. I am opening my file. Till then, you can think of the question. So I will open one file where you can have a look of different kind of visual, and I will show you like why I have chosen this visual for like showing my data, and why choosing some other visual is not the ideal for that scenario. So I'll show you that. So let me open my file. Till then, you can think of the questions.
Okay, so we have one question related to building blocks in Power BI. So what I understand is you might be talking about the building blocks like visualization, dataset, reports, and dashboards. And there is one more which is tiles. So generally visualization is the part where we create the visual representation of data, and we create various type of chart, maps or tables as Govind has showed us. And the other one is dataset, which is collection of various tables. So we generally import the data using the connector availables. Then the combination of dataset and visualization is reports. So we create reports, we provide various options like filtering option or drill through options. We provide various kind of slices, and then we publish it to the Power BI services. And there we can create the dashboards by combining multiple reports. And in that dashboard, there is tiles. So user can click on those tiles and navigate to the specified report. So these are the major building blocks of Power BI. And in terms of the data types, so the majorly there are few data types which are supported by Power BI. The first one is numeric data type, then the second is date time data type, then text, boolean, binary. So these are few majorly supported data types in the Power BI desktop, and we can say in Power BI.
Okay, Anmol, I'm sharing my screen again.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is the file, and I'm having a order table and one date table. So here I have already built some visuals. So let's have a look one by one. So this is a column chart. So why we are calling it a column chart? Because we are representing the bars in the form of colors. So these are the vertical bars, and here you can see stacked column chart. It is selected over here. So it's a stacked column chart, and when we want to compare the categories, so here I'm having the subcategories and I'm showing the cells by subcategory. So in that case, this is the ideal scenario to use and have a look on the categories. So here we can clearly see that phones and chairs, these two categories are having the same number of cells. So let's convert it into the some other chart. So what is the way of converting it to the some other chart is that you need to select the visual, and just you need to click on any other chart. So suppose I'm converting this chart into the pie chart. So here now it has become quite complex chart for me because I'm having too many categories and it is not understandable like where my sales is big and where my sales is low. So we generally do not use a pie chart in such kind of scenarios. Let's use line chart. So line chart when we are having time related and we want to find the trends in our data according to the time how I perform over the years. So in that case, need to have a trend line. But here, if I like give subcategory in the x-axis and cells here, so this doesn't make sense. So that's why column chart is a good choice over here. So let's convert it into the column chart. I can turn on the data label as well. Here I have turned it the data labels. So these are the column chart and stack bar chart. Okay, so When we further divide our columns into some details, then it becomes a stacked. Here you can see previously I'm having just one column for phones, but under the phones, what are the categories? If I want to divide it into some other column, then I can call it stack bar chart. So here you can see in my phones, I have region in my legend. Here you can see in the legend, I am having a region. So for each region under a particular category, what was the contribution of the region? So I can then find it out here. So in phone category, if I can analyze it, then each region has a maximum number of cells, which is 101K, because I can interpret it with the help of size. So when we want further details, then we can add those fields in the legends and it becomes a stacked column chart or a stacked bar chart. And the difference between bar and stacked column chart is what? Uh, so this is my column chart and let's copy this visual. I will press Control C and Control V. So, and let's convert it into the bar chart. Okay. So this is my bar chart and this is my column chart. So here you can see in column chart, you have the vertical bars, but in bar chart, you have the horizontal bar. And suppose you want to show the trend as well. So in that scenario, you can have a time-based field in the x-axis and sales on the y-axis. Then you can identify the trend as well as with the help of column chart. But if I place January, February here in y-axis and sales, so it will not make sense. So when you want to show the trend as well, according to the time you want to show the data. So in that case, you can use a column chart and you can use a you cannot use bar chart in that case. So that's where we can use column and bar charts. So there are not much difference in both the charts, but for showing trend, we ideally prefer column chart. And here you can see we have combo charts, which is a line and stacked and line and clustered column chart. So we always get an option to add some lines. Suppose I convert it into the line and stacked column chart. And let's add one more field in the line y-axis section. Let's add profit. So here you can see I can now have a look what is my trend of profit in single chart. But here in bar chart, I'm not having any kind of option to adding a line. Here you can see I'm not having any combo chart, which is a combination of bar and line at the same time. But for column, I'm having an option. So I can choose accordingly. So this is the major difference between a column and bar charts. Okay, so let's move to the pie chart. So pie chart is an interesting chart. So here, when we are having less number of categories, so in that scenario, like 4 or 5 categories, and we want to find out the proportion of whole, in the total sales, how my regions has performed and how much percentage they have contributed to my total sales. So such in that scenarios, we can use pie chart. So here we can clearly see I'm having just 4 regions. So it's an ideal case for using a pie chart because I'm having a less number of categories. Then we are having a donut chart. So difference between pie and donut chart is that in pie chart you do not get hole in between, and in donut chart you get a hole. And that's a major difference between a pie and donut chart. You can use them interchangeably as per your need. Okay, then I'm having a funnel chart. So funnel chart you can choose from here and then you can fill the data in your funnel chart. So funnel chart is ideal when you want to. This is not a like I'm not I didn't get any data to show you the funnel chart. This is not the ideal case, but let me tell you the theoretically. So suppose when you want to show some kind of process, so in that scenario you can use funnel chart. So let's talk about the recruitment. So in recruitment, what we have a total number of applications. Then out of total number of applications, we we select some resumes. So we call it at shortlisted candidates, and then after shortlisted we interviewed, so we called them interview candidates. So my funnel becomes like my numbers are bigger at the uh, upper level, but it goes down. It goes down like the size of the bar chart gets reduces as per the time. So total applications, then total screened, and then total interviewed, then total offered, and then total hired. So my hire will always have a low number, and my total always have a large number. So in that scenarios we can use funnel chart where we want some process to be elaborate on the in the form of visual. So let's move to the ribbon chart. Okay. So ribbon chart here you can see I have like my year on the x-axis 2016 to 2019 and my sales. So I'm tracking the sales year wise, and I'm keeping the legend in the region. I'm keeping the in the region I'm keeping the region field. So what it is showing, so it is ideal for ranking. So here you can clearly see this is my west region. In 2016 it was a top performing region, but when it comes to 2017 it has become second performing, second best region, and then again it has goes up and it goes up. So here we are ranking the reason. So for showing the ranking, you can use ribbon chart. Similarly, like if you have a look over here, my green. So green represents, you can see in legend south. So south was the third, and then it becomes fourth, then fourth, and then fourth. So for showing the ranking, we can use a ribbon chart. Okay, so let's talk about cards. So card, as I told you, it's for showing the scalar values. We generally show business KPIs like total sales, total quantity, total profit, because these are the single values. So let's track the quantity. I copy and paste one more card, and I will remove the quantity and the profit. I will track the profit. So such type of values you can show with the cards where there are only a single values. So these are the cards, and suppose you don't want to create multiple cards. So you can choose a multi-row card from here, which is there here. You can choose it and you can drag your fields, profit, sales. So in a single card, it will show you everything. So this is the difference between card and a multi-row card. Then you have a map visual as well. Okay, so let me tell you about the map visuals. So whenever we have any geographical information like country, region, cities, and in that scenarios, we use maps. So let me choose some basic map. I have selected the map visual. So for that, what you need to do, you need to go to the table view and you need to find out like, does my dataset contain any geographical information? So here I can see country region. So if I see here, I am having the country names and city name as well. So what you need to do, there is one option in Power BI which is a data category. So you just select your column, and here in the properties section in the column tools, you will get the option data category. So you can select, and since it is a city column, so you can select a city. So it will categorize your data, your column into the city format. And when you will use it in a map, so you can drag this city column in your location, and it is asking for bubble size. So let's drag cells. Okay, so there is some kind of errors. Let me have a look. May not be used in this expression. Okay. Let's try on country region column. Okay, so now here you can see I'm having one United States country and one bubble. Here you can see the bubble. So it represents that my sales belong to this region. So whenever you are having any geographical information, then you can show it in the map visual. So yeah, these are commonly used maps or charts that you can have in your Power BI, and you can play with the formatting options and other options as well. So Anmol, like what's next? We are done with the visuals.
Yeah, so everyone, this is all about how you can create Power BI report and how you can perform modeling and transformation. So now if you have any questions, then you can drop the message in the chat and we can discuss. It can be related to the data analytics field, Power BI, Fabric, anything, if you have any questions. So I guess we are good and no one has any questions. So thank you everyone for joining and thank you for making this session interactive. I can see there was a lot of questions in the chat box and Q&A sections too. So yeah, thank you everyone.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good one.
Yeah, bye.